It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. I'm host Mike Adams, sitting in the cabin tonight with Dan DeFaw. Before we get started, we want to help you save some money.
That's right, folks. Don't forget to use our promo codes to save that money. And let's start off with buckbaits.com. That's right, the brick and mortar store of Buck Baits down at Sterling Heights, Michigan at 15 and Dodge Park. Go over there. If you're on the website, buckbaits.com, use the promo code UNJ20. That will get you 20% off your order.
For those of you who are looking for Easy Cut products, make sure you go to easycutproducts.com. And when you're there, use the UNJ promo code UNJ15 off to save 15% off your order.
And let's not forget Lincoln Roan over at packermax.com. It's never too early, never too late to think about the Packermax. Go on over to packermax.com, use the promo code UNJ25. That'll get you $25 off your order over at Packermax Outdoors.
For those of you looking for some new firearms and firearm products, make sure you go over to the islandarmory.com. While you're there shopping, use the promo code UNJ10 to save 10% off your order there.
If you shot that bird of a lifetime and you want it mounted, don't forget Troublesome Creek Taxidermy. We've had them live on the show. We've talked to them. You want to get 10% off your order, go to Facebook, go to troublesome.creek.7, find their website. If you go to our website, UNJ, make sure to click on the button to download the form. You get 10% off over there using the code UNJ10.
Looking for that game call, whether it be a squirrel, whether it be goose, duck, deer, make sure you go to JPO Game Calls. Look for them at jpogamecalls.com, and while you're there shopping, use the UNJ10 promo code to save 10% off your order.
And Miller Deer Tracking, the man that seems to never sleep during deer season. Get 20% off your next deer tracking using the promo code UNJ20. Look for Miller Deer Tracking on Facebook or give him a call over at 810-240-4891.
Looking for the hottest new plastics to take on the water, whether it be hard water or soft water? Make sure you go over to southernindianabaitco.com. While there, use the UNJ promo code UNJ10 to save 10% off your order.
Deer Camp Coffee, folks. We drink it every night on the show. You want to try it? You can go to the brick and mortar store at 15 and Dodge Park at Deer Camp itself, or go to deercampcoffee.com. Also use our promo code UNJ10. You get 10% off your order. And don't forget, get a bag of the UNJ medium roast blend there as well.
All right, Danny, where's our live view camera look from tonight?
That's right, folks. Here in Michigan, we're anywhere in Michigan. It might be nice, it might be raining, but we got snow. Up on the trail number 7 up in Gaylord, where it's 22 degrees right now and snowing. You people just missed it. We just had a snowmobile stop. Obviously, you can see the footprints.
They were checking to see how much snow was on the ground or the temperature.
Yes, and so it's about 20 degrees, 22 degrees up there, and it looks like just about almost up to 6 inches there.
You know, we looked at this same trail about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and there was no snow on the ground.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So they're supposed to get a bunch of snow tonight. We're obviously farther south down here in lower Michigan, where we're teetering on rain, ice, sleet.
A little snow here mixed in. I think we've got probably somewhere between 2 and 3 inches on the ground right now of slop.
Right?
That's the best way to describe it. I mean, it was a slow go home tonight on the roads. It was, I don't know.
It was, you know what?
50, 55.
All you had to do is take your time, go slow, and everything worked out well. For those of you who think that saw my live feed on Saturday, or you're looking at me now going, wow, he looks kind of odd. It's because of the shirt, really. I'll tell you what. But,
you know, last week I cut that out of the show.
I'm pretty sure you did. But
where you get them at? Danny.com?
Hey, now you never know.
Jesus.
We're doing some dentistry work, so
yep.
Got to do a little bit here and a little bit there. Got to let rest. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, you look like you a little red in the cheeks.
Well, this is what happens when I say no to you, and you just
just remember that.
Right.
All right. Well, enough of that. You know, let's get into the show tonight. Once again, we've kind of went back around to pull somebody back in to talk to tonight.
Yeah, actually, we met at ATA again.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
that's right. You and Mark.
Mark and I met.
Yep.
Our guest at ATA, and we had a discussion with her, and just listening to everything that's going on with her and what she's doing. Let's get her back on the show and find out where we're at.
All right, we got Denise and it's Nick, correct?
Correct.
Okay, it's the first time we've had Nick on the show. Raised at full draw. This Denise, this is your second time back, so welcome back to the show tonight. And I'm sorry you had to put up with Danny at ATA. I really apologize for that.
It's awesome. To me, ATA is a family reunion.
It
You
is.
get to see so many people all at once, and it's just a big party of fun. I love it.
And Mark and I were there, and we were waiting for you, and Mark was texting you, but you had one heck of a flight to go from Iowa to Indianapolis.
I know. I could have gotten to Indianapolis twice before my plane actually arrived. That was the day when they shut down the entire airport system all across the United States, and no flights were going anywhere. So I was stuck in Atlanta, Georgia.
Was that you with all like the some kind of early warning system thing that shut down?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was that pilot communication program that went down, and they locked everybody down. And I saw it that morning before I drove to Indy, and Mark and I met, and we're like, okay, we're planning our night out, and Denise was, telling us, oh, I'll be there, and all of a sudden Mark's like, well, she's not anywhere near yet.
The flight's on the ground.
You were stuck in Georgia, right?
Yeah, I was stuck in Georgia, and that night at the ATA show, I knew there was actually some very special award ceremony going on, and I had nominated Fourth Arrow to receive the Impact Award, and they were going to be getting it that night. And I was just going to be so devastated if I wasn't going to be able to see them receive that award, just because they're such awesome people, and they're actually right there in Michigan with you guys too. And I made it just in time for the award ceremony.
Nice. But what I want to know, okay, Iowa, Indy, Georgia, how does, that doesn't relate.
So when I was booking the tickets, I was going to drive, but we have a diesel. Our Raise It Full Draw truck is a diesel. And so I'm very cognizant of how much money it's going to cost. So it's going to be cheaper for me to fly than to drive the diesel truck, park it overnight, and all of, the hotel route, lodging and things like that for the hotel parking.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided I was going to go south, because if I went north, was there a chance of having a snowstorm in January? So I thought I'd be better off going south, and that's when it led me to Atlanta, and I got stuck there. So I left, my flight went out at like 5:30 in the morning, right before that happened. And right before we landed in Georgia, they said they were supposed to like basically derail us and go to the nearest airport, and they were just going to go ahead and let us get to Georgia at least,
Wow.
so we can get our next flight.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
What time were you supposed to land in Indy?
I was supposed to get there at 10:30.
Okay.
Wow.
You're a
I
little
didn't get
late.
there until like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, something like that.
You did make it for the presentation of the award that night. And what was the award for?
So they call them Impact Awards, and anybody can nominate companies, individuals, nonprofits, and it's basically for their service to what they do for natural resources and everybody out there. They also have awards for like product, so a new upcoming product. But this one was specifically, I had nominated Fourth Arrow because of all of their work that they do for Raise It Full Draw. They have lots and lots of employees that come, and actually they organize and find the volunteers, help find donations, help find campers to come to that Michigan camp. They do a lot of Facebook posts and advertising, and I just really wanted people to know that there are amazing companies out there that are doing all.
Oh, we locked up there.
There she is.
Oh, we got you back.
Oh no, did it log off?
Oh, no, you're fine.
Fine, you're good.
Like you said, you've got a lot of amazing companies out there that you do have, and you call them partners on the website, and anywhere from the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation to Under Armour, over to Realtree, Delta McKenzie, Fourth Arrow Bear, Trophy Ridge, Gammo, Boning, Whitetails Unlimited, American Trucks Positive Payload Program. Those are all people that you need help from to get these camps going.
Yes, and we couldn't do it without them. And there's a lot of local individuals and companies that will help support, at the local level. From your mom and pop archery shops to even like SDI and Whitetails Unlimited. They all support those local individual camps too.
Right, exactly. And this is basically almost a 365-day-a-year project for you to get up off the ground and make it go forward. You're into several different states where you're at. When you get, I'm looking for the one flyer, there it is. You've got camps Missouri, Michigan, Montana, North Dakota, Wisconsin, Iowa, of course. But you've also got a women's outdoor treat and some other things that you do as well. And we'll get to those. But on average, you start right after the last camp of last year thinking about next year, or how's.
Yes, yeah, I really don't stop. And my husband's probably like, oh, when am I ever going to get some time with just us? Because I'm always thinking about work and Raised at Full Draw. But to me, it's not work. It's fun. I enjoy it. I get to do something that I'm extremely passionate about. I do feel for my family because I am gone all summer long with everybody else's kids. But our kids actually get to go to my parents' house for the summer. And so my parents get to be grandparents and take kids to swimming lessons while I get to do the passion that I love to do too. And eventually they'll be old enough and they can come and help at camp as well. But right now they're just too little to kind of take them with us. But
You got like the grandparents, having the grandparents involved. And that is a big involvement, just being able to take care of the grandkids so you can do what you do. Having that family support, and with that, Nick, what is your role in this and support mechanism for helping her?
I just do whatever she tells me to do. I'm kind of a drug guy. If she needs help loading trailers or whatever, I don't know. It's kind of one of those deals I've learned to just not say no. She looks at the schedule and says, "Oh, hey, look, it just so happens you're off those days.
Nice.
I guess I'm busy."
You're a smart man.
So basically you're coming back with yes, dear.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, to a certain level, you know.
How many?
I gotta keep my man card a little bit.
There you go. Yeah. How many events a year do you get to help out with?
It really just all depends on my work schedule, but probably.
There's definitely a couple. So we have the Iowa Deer Classic is actually coming up here in next week, actually, on my birthday. And he helps me set up the range and runs that whole thing for me too.
Okay.
Helps me take it down, the trailers, all of that. And then he usually gets to come to the Iowa Raised at Full Draw camp as well, at least 1 or 2 days, depending on, again, his work schedule, to come down there, but usually helps me have to set up the targets and those type of things. He's my heavy lifting a lot of the time.
He's the big fork trucker, the big wheelbarrow that moves stuff around.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, you know what, and we laugh at that, but really, those types of things need to be done. I mean, you got to have people to move things, to put things together, to set things up, and to be able to run booths. I mean, it's not just a couple of people putting these camps on. I've been to 3 or 4 of these different types of things, and when you got a lot of kids around and you're trying to teach them and keep their attention span, that's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, and it's appreciative because everybody that comes are volunteers. So I'm the only paid employee for the nonprofit, and so it's extremely appreciative when you have someone like Easy Cut who donated their pruners last year to every single volunteer that came and helped. It's amazing when people go above and beyond that call, just because they see what those volunteers are doing too.
Well, that's awesome that you got. We were partnered with Easy Cut as well, and for a company to step forward and to recognize people's time that they're putting into the outdoor community and helping kids learn this stuff and rewarding them. I mean, you say, well, they're giving them a pruner. Well, you know what? People, when they're not looking for that. When they get that, they really appreciate somebody that does something, goes above and beyond, and helps out by giving them recognition for doing that. So that's awesome. So, Scott, over to Easy Cut, thank you for doing that. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And, one of the big reasons I wanted to have you on again was to get the word out about what it actually takes to make one of these camp happen. And you've got them in multiple states. So, kind of just going down that road of obviously you can go to the website. You can look right on there. You can sign up for a camp for your youngster, or you can help donate.
Sign up for Michigan.
Right? And,
Our home state.
About how much does it cost for a child to go to camp?
So it is $250 for a kid to come to camp.
And what do they get for $250?
So they are coming. We'll give them a Raise That Full Draw shirt. We have all of the meals with them. And then we actually have all of the equipment. So they don't need to bring bows, arrows, release, all of our 3D targets, our tree stands. We have all of that. So the harnesses, anything that they're going to be utilizing that we're going to teach with is in our trailer. And we want them to know if they need support for camping gear, so their tents and their sleeping bags. We have that as well too for kids that need it as well.
Okay, so the setup for like the arrangements for the kids are it's tent camping, outside camping, getting them out in the fresh air, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Awesome.
we're going back to the basics of what our heritage, could have been way back in the beginning, when we're starting from not having even social media and cell phones. So we take their cell phones away from them the whole week.
That's good.
And they actually love it. We pray before we eat, and we raise and lower the flag every day.
That's awesome.
And say the Pledge of Allegiance. Mm-hmm.
We're just going through some of the photos here from the Michigan event last year that you sent us, and it just looks like there's such a wide range of things that they do. Talk about a little bit about the Michigan camp that you sent these pictures from. What you talked about what it takes to put on an event and what they get out of it, but talk a little bit about some of the instruction that they're going to get.
Yeah, so our Michigan camp is actually very unique because it's our only state that we certify the kiddos in bow hunter and hunter education. So you'll see that they're actually shooting shotguns, so firearms there, and our Gammo guns, so little air rifles as well. We're teaching them how to cross a fence with a firearm, zones of fire, carry, everything of working with firearms, to also the archery side of things too. And I really appreciate that the state agency sees the value in that, because many kids, when they come from 12 to 17 years old, some of them actually don't have hunter education. In our other camps, they're just getting bow hunter education. Okay. And not all states require bow hunter education. Mm-hmm. There's only about, I want to say 12 now that require bow hunter education, and they're mostly your western states. And your eastern, like your northern eastern. I don't think you guys require a bow hunter in your state. It's not a requirement. You can get it, but it's not a requirement.
No, we require hunter safety.
Yeah, hunter safety. And I've been to, good Lord, I've been through
plenty of those.
4 of them with my kids. And with that being said, they do cover the bow hunting aspect of it, and a little, first aid, some of the basic stuff, but for your camp to be recognized that way, to be able to do that, that's saying something, because I've been around other groups that have tried to get that here in Michigan and haven't been successful in doing so.
That's why, when Mark introduced us to RAFD last year, and we talked with her last year, and finally meeting her at ATA, how long has this been, how long ago was this actually started?
So they started Raise at Full Draw in 2014, and then I joined them in 2019. Previously, I worked for the Iowa DNR for 10 years as their archery and shooting sports coordinator for the state. So I got to work with a lot of school teachers teaching the Archery in the Schools program. Have you guys heard of NASP or Joe
Yep, both of them. Mm-hmm.
So I organized a lot of those type of programs with the schools and organizations. And then from there, I was constantly hearing from teachers, parents, students, coaches, my kids want to learn how to go hunting with a bow.
Mm-hmm.
And our state agency, we just didn't have the time. They had the resources as the dollars, but they did not have the time to add another program. And my heart just kept following the bow hunting league of this. And so I went over here to Raise at Full Draw, and I absolutely love it. I love what I did with the state agency too. It just I didn't get to focus on just one program. Where now I get to focus on one program,
which is kind of nice. You can kind of focus on one as opposed to being proficient in all of them, which doesn't work out so well. But I tell you what, we're rolling up on our first break. When we come back, we'll continue our talk about what it needs to get RAFD off and running during the year.
All right, we're going to step outside, take our first break, and we'll be right back after this.
All right, folks, you got any questions for Nick and Denise? Throw them in the chat. We'll ask them as we go here. It's just amazing. It's just...
Who shot what deer?
What was that?
I was saying, who shot what deer?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yep, you just kind of imagine.
And what the folks missed is the battle that went on before the show started. There was some rearranging of some chairs and some
photo ops. And is this my good side with this or that?
It's funny.
It is. It was funny. We were sitting back getting a good laugh out of that, but yeah, all of those amounts back there are tremendous, and hats off to both of you. I mean, those are some incredible racks that are on those walls there.
They're Iowa deer. What do you expect?
They're still incredible. It doesn't matter where they came from, but yeah,
is there anything small?
You guys really do produce some giants out there. It just blows my mind. If we can only.
But anything that makes people's heart happy, they should take it.
What's that? Anything
that makes people's heart happy, they should take it.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you. Seriously, thank you for saying that. That needs to be said more. I understand, the biology and stuff behind it and certain things that people are trying to do. APRs, we support things like that. But in the grand scheme of things, if it makes you happy, like you said,
shoot it.
Shoot it.
Yep.
So
a doe can make a person happy. So
makes me happy because it's meat in the freezer.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way it goes.
Mm-hmm. And we talk about it at camp too, but there's stages of bow hunters.
Oh, good. We'll talk about that in our next segment. We'll talk a little bit about segments as we go here. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Nick, do you, if you make it to the camps, do you help out in any segments of the camps?
Yeah, so last year I helped out with the tree stand safety.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right. We'll hit you up on that one then.
All right. Here we go. Stand by. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back. Second segment of the show. Danny, go ahead. The plug.
I tell you what, folks. If you don't catch us live on Facebook or on YouTube, and you're listening to us just on the podcast, you are missing what goes on in the breaks when you're hearing the bumpers that you hear. The live Facebook or the YouTube, you got to tune in and watch us live because there's things that we talk about and watch and happen that you will
Sometimes it's before the show starts.
Oh, yeah, that's true, too. But, so you get over to Facebook, check out our live show if you're not watching us live already. Or a couple days, this will be rolling out on YouTube. Check us out. Check us out in between the breaks and see what is pointed at or talked about in the breaks.
There you go. Eric, thanks for tuning in tonight. Appreciate it. A buddy of mine's watching tonight.
There you go.
So getting back to the programs and everything with the bow hunting and following a passion. It's we talked about what it takes to put on a program. And Danny, you said you wanted to take this in what direction?
Yeah. So when Denise putting this all together, being the single employee of Raised at Full Draw, she's got a bunch of states she has to watch over and take care of, and they've got one trailer, right? So that trailer's got to do some traveling. But wouldn't it be nice if we could somehow get a trailer in every state that she wouldn't have to drive the diesel truck?
Well, with trailer, you also need the gear to put in the trailer as well. So we're talking, a goal of yours, we talked about a little bit about before the show, is that you would like to have a trailer in every state that you have an event at. So it doesn't, one trailer's not doing all the driving across country. It helps save on the wear and tear of a vehicle, gas, cost, and everything. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. So I'll go from Iowa to Missouri, Michigan, Montana, North Dakota, Wisconsin this summer. That's my route this summer. And so it's kind of a ping pong if you see a little bit. And it's just a lot of traveling. And unfortunately, with only having one set of equipment or one trailer with all these set of equipment, each state doesn't get to utilize that throughout the entire year. So really Iowa and kind of Wisconsin and Missouri, since they're close to that trailer, can utilize it more. So I always hate saying Iowa this, Iowa that, because I'm in Iowa.
Right.
But how great would it be if we could have a trailer in Wisconsin, in Michigan, in all of these states, and be able to let these kiddos or adults continue to use the archery equipment after summer and go bow hunting with it. So many do come without the equipment, and I want them just to be able to continue on.
So,
And they can't do it sometimes financially.
so you're envisioning once you teach these camps and they're all done, they've got their hunter certificate, they passed the test and everything to where they can actually get out and hunt, then you would have something set up with wherever that location is for kids to be able to utilize that gear for the season or for a weekend, a day, something on that type of situation. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, yep, utilizing it for actually the season. Once they come to camp, they're hooked. They love archery if they haven't already done it. And we want them to continue to apply that knowledge out in the field. Some parents don't have archery equipment, and this would be a great way where we could easily show them. And then now the kid is teaching the parent too, or maybe we can have family camps and offer additional type of programs in those states. But right now we're so limited with just one trailer that we don't have the ability to offer additional camps because of the one trailer.
Thinking along those lines, how would that look? Would that be the people that's got the boots on the ground in that state that put that camp on with you, the volunteers, would head that up, or would you have your own organization set up there? How would that work? What is your view of that?
So I'm really, I'm sure you guys know the term Critter Club. So NWTF and Pheasants Forever, Ducks Unlimited, RMF, all those type of programs have a very similar setup. They're very big into conservation and buying the land, and salvaging our land, making sure that there's additional hunting access. This would be a little bit different where we're not using our funds to purchase land, but using our funds to give it back to the education part and teaching people how to utilize that land. So if we can get to the point where we can have, regional reps in a state like they do for those organizations as well, it would be awesome. And then you have volunteers underneath of those individuals. That's definitely where I can see it going in the future.
Okay, all right. That explains it to me then. I can see the vision now of how that would work.
Right, exactly. And all this takes money, right? So we got some potential sponsors out there. If you didn't want to put a big bite into it, but wanted to give a little bit at a time or whatever, she sent us this flyer here about supporting and what each little section costs. Like a wilderness survival, the first aid, shelter building, fire starting. That's at $900. Going to the right there with game calls, it's going up a little bit more. And then, but the big one here we see here is the archery equipment one that it costs about $29,000 to have. So to get a trailer full of equipment and for people to help donate, whether you're a business or an individual, and looking at the tree stand safety or recovery with shot placement, blood trailing. You know, it's amazing. I know when we put our heads together, we can figure out a way to make that happen.
With those numbers, let me just throw that back up there again. With the numbers on this, is that per event, or is that the overall scope of all the events in one?
That is all the events in one.
Okay.
So that is a specific station or stations lumped together that they would then sponsor. And so, for an example, if it was a tree stand, they would do all of the harnesses. There's like 30 harnesses that are in there. Your tree stands, but you have ladder stands and hang-on stands, even saddles. So it would be that entire station, and then that trailer goes from camp to camp to camp. So it's being utilized at multiple locations.
Okay. So I just did a quick math in my head, you know, looking at those 8 items. You know, you're looking at about $45,000 to $50,000, and that's per year, I would assume, correct?
That's per trailer.
Per trailer. Okay, that explains it even better. Okay. And then you would need the trailer as well. On top
And
of
then
that.
I need the trailer.
Okay.
So we'll just say 50,000, including the trailer,
Right.
to get one here. Maybe put here in Michigan, where we know we have the one camp, but if we have a group on the south eastern side, maybe get 2 camps.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe do a little outreach, maybe the UP. But the possibilities are endless. And one of the things, you know, when we ask people to donate and whatnot, Nick has taught the tree stand safety course. So let's ask him how a typical tree stand safety course day would go. That way people get a feel of what you're teaching.
So they have rotational stations during the camp, and the tree stand safety is one of the rotations. So when the kids come over, we start out from the very basics, kind of explaining different types of harnesses that they could wear, the importance of fitment of those harnesses, and then we actually get each one of the kids in a harness and 2 different types of tree stands. So there's a ladder stand at one station and hang-on tree stands at another. And then we explain, you know, how to properly, safely climb a tree to where you try to have 3 points of contact at all times as you're climbing the tree. Get them up into the stand. Once we get them up there, we try to get them the opportunity to actually shoot out of the stand, because we all know, even me, I've been bow hunting for 27 years, I think. Even, I'm not afraid of heights, but every year, that first sit in the stand, you're like, you know, I'm way up here in the tree. So for a kid that's never been in a tree stand, especially, you know, that's a big deal for them. And we have kids that get up there, and once they get in there, they kind of freeze up. But we talk them through it, and usually by the end of it, we have almost all of them shooting. We also explain, you know, the importance of a lifeline. So not just the harness, but, you know, so you can climb a tree and wear a harness, but if you fall out halfway up, there's nothing there to help or to save you, you know. So we explain the importance of that lifeline, and to have that lifeline in every one of your trees where you have a tree stand.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's one of the big things here, where, you know, you're passing on a lot of, like you said, a lot of your knowledge going on to the tree stand safety. And if we can help prevent just one accident, or whatever we hear out in the news of an accident, you've done it.
Oh, we hear it every year.
Every year you hear it, right?
I know 3 people personally that's fallen out of a tree stand. 2 from up high, and 1 on, like you said, on the way up. Didn't have a lifeline, and actually was setting a tree stand up. Was only up about 2 or 3 steps, and wound up breaking a leg. You know, which was a fairly short fall. It happens. So that's
I've actually had it happen to me. I just got done hanging a tree stand. I was probably 18 foot in the air, and both of the cables on the tree stand broke. And had I not had my harness on, I'd have fallen 18 feet down. I mean, I still skinned up my arm real bad on the stand and whatnot, but that's an eye opener when that happens. It's yeah, you have no idea it's happening.
Well, and you're here to talk about it. So, I mean, that's the thing, is you live through it. So that's the important part.
Did you have a full body harness on?
Yes. Yep.
Those are so important. You got it.
Were you by yourself?
I was. Yep.
Okay, so since we're talking about this, and you've experienced it, compartment syndrome, how hard was it for you to get acclimated and get back around to where you could actually safely get down out of that position? Did it last long enough to get compartment syndrome a little bit or not?
No, not for me. Thankfully, when I fell, and so I had climbing sticks strapped to the tree, I was able to actually just reach over, grab a hold of those sticks, and pull myself over,
Okay.
and then stand up on them. So I really I didn't experience any of that.
That's good.
But I bet you he stood there for a minute on those sticks, just wondering what just happened and thanking the man above about.
And wondering where a clean pair of shorts were.
That too.
Yeah. Yeah, and and when I say I skinned up my arm, I mean it was my entire forearm, because when I fell, your natural reaction is to grab anything around you, and I was facing the tree when it broke, and so I went to grab the actual seat part, and I missed it, and that seat just ate my arm up.
Okay.
I didn't know I had done that until after I had gotten out of the tree, like actually on the ground, and kind of got my bearings back to what had happened.
Right. Happens so quick. Before you know it, I mean, just a split second.
Well, that's it, right? And then he went back, and Denise saw it, and probably yelled at him a little bit.
A little bit.
Right?
Did you ever find out what caused those cables to break?
So there's, on a lot of the cable systems on stands, there's that rubber, and from what I believe happened is where the rubber goes over the crimp, for one, had weathered and broken away, which allowed moisture in there, and the cable itself appeared to be over crimped, which I believe that broke a bunch of the strands in the
Okay.
cable, which weakened it already, and then just being out there or being used, it was an older stand, so
Gotcha. The weather got a hold of it.
yeah, just
Wow. Man, that just scares me thinking about it.
I know, right? And then thankfully he was able to be right side up, get himself over to climbing sticks, where you hear some people fall over backwards or hanging upside down.
Well, a good friend of ours broke his back.
Yep.
Fell out of one. It was a hang on and collapsed. So, yeah, you can never be too careful.
We also now usually go with each other when he's hanging in his stands, or when we're taking stuff out of the tree stand for the end of the year, like our lifelines, so they don't get weathered. And but we also will tell each other when we get to the stand and we get out of the stand and we're heading home. So, and we know what stand each of us are going to.
Good
We've
point.
really been communicators now, of just because you never know what's going to happen when you're going hunting.
Absolutely. Well, quick question. This is a question I've always had, and maybe you can answer this for me, Nick, seeing how you teach that class. So, I use ladder stands in, typical fashion. You find your tree, you find a good level spot to get this thing up, and you get your tree stand leaned up against the tree. And then, you've got that midpoint where you put your tie around to the tree as high up as, that midpoint as high as you can reach. From there going up, to secure the tree stand at the top around the tree, you've got your harness, you got your lifeline. How do you get the lifeline up into the tree where you need it to be without climbing without it? It's a problem. So what's the proper way to do that?
And I don't have a good answer for you, to be honest with you. Outside of like a lineman strap, so where
Okay.
if you had the problem with that is if you're going to go to that extent, then you technically are putting two ladders or two climbing units in one tree, right?
Right.
So you're going to use a lineman strap unless you have the spikes that are going to help you climb it. You got to have some form of ladder where you're connected up until you get there. Now, like Donnie said, the reason why we go together is I don't like to leave my lifelines in the tree all year ground because
Correct.
the weather gets to them, and I can't trust that the integrity is still there from season after season. So I
Right.
do take those out at the end of the fall, and then put them back, at the beginning of fall every year. So for me, yeah, that's a risk that I take every stand I go into. That you know
The first
that something
climb.
could have the first climb up. That something could happen, but I,
There really isn't a good answer of how to.
The only thing I've
make
come
it
up with
work.
is using like a throw bag
Oh, right.
with it tied to it and throwing it through
Getting it up over a branch,
over
right?
a branch, and then coming down, bringing it back, and then running that through the the eyelet to hold it, and then pulling it tight, being able to climb up. That's the only thing I can really come up with. Other than that, then it's somebody at the bottom holding it, keeping it from rolling one way or the other. And go ahead.
I have found that that a lot of those stands that come with that strap that goes halfway up, and that generally most of them are connected to the support arm that goes against the tree. I have found that if you take an actual ratchet strap and hook it to each one of the sides of the ladder, that stability point, and put that on tight, that stand it's solid. And so when you get to the top, instead of having that teeter in or wanting to kind of tip out on you, it's already secured down there at the bottom.
Yeah.
So that's helped us out a lot.
Not that we're sponsored by a tree stand company, but I use Family Traditions tree stands, and theirs are made to fasten that way, like you said, with a ratchet strap around that tree to that midpoint up, that same style. So, and it does seem to work a lot better than, like you said, that that rod going back and trying to fasten that rod to the tree. So.
Yep.
Yeah, I know, right?
It gives me the willies just thinking about it.
It does.
Well, I'll
But-
tell you what, let's take our next break.
All right.
And we come back, we'll continue the
We got some
conversation.
questions, and we'll be back.
All right, we're going to step outside. We'll be right back after this.
All right, got a couple questions. All right.
I didn't mean to take up the time on tree stand safety, but
No,
there's
but you know what? I guess it was nice to hear. He actually teaches the class for the kids, to hearing what he talks to them about, and life experiences that he has. It's so much more to have that, I think, than here's a textbook.
yeah.
You know,
Well, it goes to the fact that, I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I'm like, how does one go about doing this? And so for anybody listening out there, if you want to get in the innovation zone at ATA, there's a good problem to solve, That's a great problem to solve. Save some lives.
right? So.
Yep, he's definitely my one where I'm like, hey, I want the tree stand in that tree, and he puts it up there. I'm there to support the bottom of it, but usually, again,
Yeah.
he's the muscles. And
Yeah, it's and it always puts you in some kind of compromising position, trying to get the ratchet around and getting it reefed down tight enough to where it doesn't want to wiggle or roll on you. There's nothing easy about putting up, especially a hang-on. Hang-ons to me are even
hang-on.
worse. I won't even use a hang-on anymore. I use ladder stands exclusively, but even those, it's a workout.
Right?
It's like wrestling a greased pig.
Doesn't work out well.
No. All right, here we go. Stand by. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back. Third segment of the show. We covered some tree stand stuff. We covered some wants and needs of things that they're looking to expand and do.
And we haven't mentioned, but Denise, kind of let us know where we can go to help support you if we want to donate, or where should one go? Facebook, web page. Where do you want us to go?
yes, you can absolutely go to our website, which is raisedatfulldraw.com, or you can go to our Facebook page. I will respond to all those messages myself, or a couple other volunteers will do that too. And then we also have like an Instagram page as well.
That's awesome.
Very good. Yeah. So if you want to help, just donate. Get on over there, click on the donate button, or if you think you might want to send your youngster to camp here in Michigan, we're going to have our camp here coming up.
June 22nd through the 25th.
Yep, and I was going to ask you, do typical camps run Thursday through Sunday?
They do, yeah. We only have one camp, and that's in North Dakota. That is a day camp, and it's in the city of Bismarck itself over there, so it's easy for parents to drop off, in the morning and pick up after work. Whereas this one, it's allowing the parents to have a full weekend. So if a friend or relative is coming with
Oh, we lost audio.
them up.
Oh, we got it back. Okay, good.
Nope, it's good.
Yeah,
We
we're
got
all
you
good.
back. And so let me ask you this. I see you can have youth aged to 12 to 17. One of the questions we do have in the chat was, do you have a lot of returning youth from year to year?
Yeah, so from a typical, like our Michigan camp, this was our second year this last year. We had 32 kids the first year, and we actually had 34 the second year, and it wasn't even half that are returners. You know, some of those kids, when they're 12 and 13, they might want to come back so they can keep that knowledge applying to themselves. But, you know, if they're maybe like 15, 16 years old, they can actually retain a lot of it, and it's the same information that second year. However, year 2 and year 3, we do start applying additional skills such as actually packing a pack and going out on different adventures. And Nick actually did one of those. Did you want to talk about that? What you did in Iowa with?
Oh, you did the. Which one did you do? The how to pack an appropriate pack?
It was more. I wasn't. The one I did was more on survival.
Oh, okay.
Should you now? You know, granted, here in the Midwest, it's a little bit different than out west.
Mm-hmm.
If you get lost in the Midwest, if you walk long enough, you will find a house.
Mm-hmm.
When you go out west, or road, yeah. When you go out west, if anybody's ever been out in the mountains,
You might walk a while.
you could walk for long ways before you find anybody. So this was more geared towards, you know, if you had like a medical emergency, whether it be like a hypothermia or heat exhaustion, you know, in the summertime when you're doing prep for the season coming up. Just kind of things on how to take care of yourself. So just your basic survival skills.
Well, you know, even here in Michigan, there's places that you get turned around really easy. I mean,
Oh, up there and up in that swamp up by you could
Yeah.
walk for quite a while.
yeah,
And
they call it 7 Mile Swamp.
there you go. And then me in the UP.
Yeah, yeah. So you know, I understand what you're saying, and you can get hypothermia. You get turned around in a swamp or a big section of woods. If you don't know how to read a compass or walk in a straight line, and you laugh and say, "Well, of course you know how to walk in a straight line," but there's you get disoriented and you think you know where you're going, and all of a sudden you're just walking in a big circle. You could be in there for a long time before somebody finds you. So
Yeah. Yep. So our year 2 campers, like sometimes there's items laying on a table, and they have to decide what are they going to put in that pack with them for this day hike, and they end up learning that nightfall is coming, so they need to build a shelter and build a fire to keep themselves warm. And then how are they going to get drinking water? Somebody breaks their arm or a leg and they have to splint it. So
Yeah.
you're trying to basically like the Oregon Trail. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
You're kind of like doing this Oregon Trail and applying those skills where the kids back at camp that are year 1, they're actually doing that same thing, but in a group setting. And not like hiking around through the woods.
Mm-hmm.
But in Michigan, one of our volunteers shared with us that him and his friend went on, is that like, what do they call them, a crop duster plane? Is that what they call those, like,
Yep.
planes that... So he was in a crop duster plane, and the plane crashed.
Whoa.
And his friend was the pilot. His friend died, and he made it out, and he shared his story with these Michigan campers about how he had to survive.
Wow.
He had broken his leg, and his cell phone didn't work because they're in the middle of nowhere. So he talked about it and shared those. And so some of those kids really then started to take that next day of hypothermia and everything into play because they actually landed in water. And so it's very impactful for what those kids will get out of camp.
Yeah, you never know what little nugget they're going to pick up and retain that could save their lives later on. You know, my youngest boy's he's 23, going to be 24, and he asked me last week. He says, "You know, I'm thinking about going up on the Manistee River." And he's like, "Do you know that stretch?" I'm like, "Yeah, we've kayaked 50 miles of it, so yeah, I'm familiar with it." I said, "Do you realize where you're going?" And he's like, "Well, no, not really." He wants to hike in for a day, camp, along the river, like, just primitive camp, and then come back out. And I said, do you know what to take? Well, yeah, a tent and sleeping bag. I'm like, there's so much more to that, So it's not just kids even, like you're saying. It's like if you don't know, you don't know what you don't know. So those are great skills to teach kids at a younger age, or like you said. So and later in life, it's like, man, I remember that one thing at camp that they taught us.
Right, exactly. And do you have you had any of your camp kids get old enough but yet come back as like volunteers to help?
Yes, and even that actually happened last year, but at the Michigan camp, our second year, you're seeing returners come and being volunteers. They love it so much, too, that they want to start sharing their knowledge with what they've learned in the season with others. So, yeah, and then we actually, those that come back sometimes the second year, they might be your camp counselors, if you want to call them. So they're going to be helping those new kids come, but instead of calling them, hey, Nick, your group, can you come here? We would say something like, hey, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation group, or PSC, or Bear, whoever, using those that have sponsored and donated to camp, their names, and then that's the leader that's helping get the groups to the different locations of those stations.
That's cool.
That's awesome, and it's so good to hear that. I hope it as the years go on with this, that more and more are the returning ones that come back that want to give back. I know they're probably going to be a little busy, probably getting into college and that, but taking out that time, a little weekend in the summer to come back and pass it on down, it's lifelong, like you talked about, little nuggets you pick up.
Well, talking about skills, there's a question coming in talking about, do you teach them how to field dress an animal, or how to get game safely out of the field without getting it contaminated or having it go rancid?
Yes, yep. So we talk heavily about shot placement as well. And they do like a 3D tournament, and we talk about shot placement when we're doing these 3D tournaments. So what you would do scoring wise versus what is actual shot placements can be different. And then we have a field dressing portion of it. Now, I would love to actually have a deer and field dress it, or even sometimes like a goat, but we haven't been able to get that in Michigan to be able to share those. So I've actually created a box deer, anatomy deer, and it has, I don't know if, you might actually have some pictures of that. And
Yeah, we do.
like, what?
We're showing them right now.
There's a tube, yeah, and so it's a deer where it has its vital organs in there, and then it also has like your stomach and your liver in the back. So you're talking about that shot placement and what's going to happen, and then we utilize that to kind of show how you're going to field dress. In Michigan, I don't believe we showed them last year the gutless method. They talked about it, but I know in our Montana camp, it's obviously very talked about our gutless method, and we talk about game bags and preserving it. Some people talk about pepper and how they need to put pepper around if they're in a bear area. So yes, we definitely talk about all of those strategies as well, and then we get very much into blood trilling too, so they can find that and learn what different color of the blood means, and when they need to go back out, how long they wait. So start from finish, it's all there in camp.
That's awesome.
I know, right?
I mean,
we need more of these camps. That's why we have Denise on here. Trying to get the word out. Trying to get more of these camps going for these kids, instead of being on their phone, be in the outdoors like we always talk about, right?
That's right.
Getting them in the outdoors. I know, Denise, is this like the kickoff, the Iowa Deer Classic for you? I know you've had some auctions, but you're having the 3D shoot at the Iowa Deer Classic?
Yeah, next weekend, March 3rd, 4th, and 5th, will be the Iowa Deer Classic. And we host the 3D range there. So we'll see about 160, 170 shooters come through that weekend. And then we also host a free kids range. So those that have maybe never shot archery before, they're uncomfortable with it, they don't know what to do, we teach them how to do it right there at the Deer Classic as well. And of course, we're recruiting kids, we're trying to find them, and we want new audiences to attend. And usually by the end of Deer Classic, our Iowa campus full after that. So I'd love to be able to get up there and do something like that at one of your guys' Michigan shows. They're so fun just to see the smiles on kids' faces to learn it for the first time, to know that they can do archery anywhere.
You know, it really is. Any person that's not shot archery and you put a bow in their hand and you show them the basics and how to use a bow, and when they hit a target, all of a sudden their face just lights up and it's like they're hooked. It's so cool.
Right, exactly. And I think we're coming up on our last break.
Yep.
When we come back, a few more questions, and then we'll wrap it up for tonight.
All right, we're going to step outside, take our last break. We'll be right back after this. All righty.
All right, last segment of the show. They fighting yet? No, they're good. All right, just making sure. Got to keep those kids in Iowa.
They're not going to fight on this show, Danny.
There's a first for everything in our world.
Yeah, I almost cut your arm off one night.
Right? Right?
What?
Yeah, I had...
matter of fact, it was an easy cut.
Yeah, the top, the pole saw. The 20-footer. Well, we just got ours, and I couldn't bring a 20-foot pole saw into the studio, so I took the head off, and I brought it in, and I pulled it out of the sheath, and I went to lay the sheath down, and he put his hand up as soon as I turned. And I had it in my hand, and it just barely nicked him, and he was bleeding like a stuck hog. So almost lopped an arm off.
Yeah, here I am, bleeding out on live TV.
Grabbing your shirt, tell the kids, grab anything you can.
That's right. Wrap it up. Tourniquet on finger.
He was asking me, "Am I your beneficiary?"
Sign this real quick.
Yeah, sign it.
Oh, yeah. Don't let me have sharp objects. They don't let me play with scissors anymore either.
I can understand why.
Oh, that's a running joke at work. There's a story behind it, but we won't talk about that here.
Right? Blah, blah, blah.
All right. Here we go. You ready, Dan?
Yep.
All right. Stay by. 3, 2, and 1. All right. During the break, we talked about cutting Dan's arm off again.
Yep, we did. So people out there who are listening on the podcast, go over to our live Facebook, watch the show. Watch what we do in between the breaks, which you might be hearing on the podcast, which is our bumpers. Or watch us on YouTube and see what we talk about in the breaks.
Oh, me.
We talked about the Iowa Deer one coming up with the 3D shoot and the kids range. But for everybody who's not going to be in Iowa, I don't think we'll be there, you have an online auction as well.
I will. So during the Deer Classic, you do not have to be present to win, but you can still bid. So be in any state that you want to. We will have items like a Traeger grill. However, I'm not going to ship that to you. You're going to have to come and meet me somewhere. I'll meet you halfway if it's for you guys. But we also have like dog beds and ground blinds, decoys, turkey decoys. What are some other things? Things. Lots of things that are going to be on the auction.
You last year you had something from the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. I won something from there. Mark, I think, won a few things. I think he won the lowdown.
Okay.
Yeah, he won the lowdown viewer, and that'll be on there again.
Right. Yeah. And so people, if you can't get it to Iowa and you want to go, are we gonna have a spot? Are you gonna post this on Facebook where to go for the auction?
Yes, I'll go to our Facebook page and check that out. It'll be actually live next week.
Okay, so
they can start bidding next week.
I'll watch for that, and when we see it, we will gladly post it on our Facebook page to send them over to you.
Okay.
That way, we get the word out about these auction items. And how long does that auction go for?
It will end Sunday afternoon. And so if they are at the Deer Classic, they can pick it up there, because some vendors come from different shows from Michigan. So if they're going to be there, you can pick it up at the Deer Classic, or I'll then ship it to you that next day.
So that's next week, and the auction ends the 5th?
4th and 5th, and the auction ends the 5th at noon.
You know what? If we get the Traeger grill, we could have Lincoln Roan bring it back.
There we go, because he'll be out there.
Yeah, he's going to be there.
I told you, there's always a way.
You're right. I like your thinking.
Danny has a plan.
Oh, I got a plan.
You just got naked Traeger grill and you like it. We're not sponsored by Traeger or anything like that. It's just
I hear so many people talk about them, and quickly, Nick, are they the bomb or what? I don't know anything about them. I just hear about them.
It's an easy man smoker. So, like, if you want to be a true man, one of those auto feed smokers is not. That's not a true man smoker. Like, the true man smoker is the one where you got to sit there with your little spray bottle and keep your temp, at the right spot. That's not my thing. I got way too many other things. So yeah, I've had other ones, but yeah, it's pretty awesome.
You like this one?
That's awesome.
That's
So yeah,
that's work.
well, like you said, you gotta
It's
get your
time.
chair.
Yeah.
You gotta get by the fire, and you gotta sit there and
That sounds like a lot of adult beverages to me.
yeah, that can go bad.
That can go bad real quick.
So, like everybody out there, that's why we're having Denise on talking about Raised at Full Draw. We, getting the word out about helping these camps get more proficient, getting bigger, getting better. That's why we need, if you're thinking about it, go on over to the website. I'm sure you can go on Facebook. Like she said, she'll answer any messages. If you got any questions, go check it out. Ask her anything you want. I got a friend of mine that's kind of interested in knowing more about the camps because he would like on this side of town to get a group of kids and maybe have a camp on this side.
Gotcha.
So,
Well, along those lines, talking about the camps, camp size, is there a point where you say the camp's full?
50 kids is usually our max.
Okay.
Sometimes we have a couple more, here and there, but usually 50, just because of our locations that they have, only fit so many tents and vehicles that when you're coming in and out. So 50 has been a good.
All right, so I got another question here, and I want to ask this one as delicately as possible. But let's say there's a kid that wants to go to camp and basically doesn't have the means to be able to get there. Is there any program or anything to help said kid be able to attend camp?
We do. We have scholarships available for students. And actually, Mark is a huge supporter for Raise It Full Draw. And last year, his family actually sponsored a lot of kiddos to come, and he matched dollars to come. And it's for any kid that needs that support. If they don't have the funds to buy archery equipment, again, we have that for them. We don't want anything to be a barrier.
Gotcha.
So if there's a barrier and a child needs help or family needs help, please reach out. We're here to support them. And things like this Iowa Deer Classic weekend is why we do this, so that we can raise the dollars for scholarships to bring kids to camp.
and you are absolutely correct. Ever since meeting Mark and talking with him coming on pro staff, in the last 2 years, we've seen him do this and actually spend the means giving to Raised to send these kids. And I always tell him, I'll be the last one. When you're down to one, call me. I'll take care of it. But it's such a, just him and his wife alone. And I don't know if he's heading out to Iowa or not. I didn't know if he was going to go. I know this week is Indiana.
Yeah.
But, yep, you got to have those certain people that, put it all in and get those kids out. Like you said, no barriers. Just contact you, and I'm sure you could work something out depending on where they're at.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
So you guys did talk about one thing earlier, and that was our women's camp.
Yes.
I was going to tell you a secret. Do you want a secret?
Yeah, absolutely. I won't tell anybody.
So
Just the people that are listening on Facebook.
yeah, Raise That Full Draw is going to host a women's bow hunting camp. So if there's a woman out there who has not been successful to harvest, but has a bow, knows how to shoot, that's who we want. And we have a location in Wisconsin, Almond, Wisconsin to be exact, where 2 landowners are letting us have their land. And we're taking women out on hunts that need the support. We'll come back and do a retreat in the evenings and the afternoons and just talk about the successes of what happened and just using this to apply their knowledge to continue to show growth in themselves, that they can do this.
That is awesome. Now, the cost for that camp is going to be?
It's also $250.
Okay.
And it is the last weekend in September.
Okay.
There is not a registration posted on our website because we're only taking like 12 to 15 women. So it's very, very limited. We just started advertising it to women that have attended our Rise camp before, so where we taught.
Oh, we lost audio again for just a second. Go back and repeat that last sentence. We lost you for just a second.
Oh, so we have, we posted it this last week to women that attended our camp for Rise, and we already have 9 women registered to attend.
Okay.
So we just have a couple more spots.
Do you need? I'm looking on the map as to where Almond, Wisconsin is, which is basically due west of Green Bay.
You got it there? I'm gonna put it up here.
All right, go ahead.
So everybody can see.
There's
where we're
Almond.
going.
There's Almond, Wisconsin.
Okay.
Do you need volunteers to help with that?
Yes, if there's individuals over there that would like to come, again, that one's also going to start on a Thursday night, so women can get plane tickets and planes because a lot of people are actually flying. We have people from California to Montana, Utah, Pennsylvania, all over coming to this event. So yeah, if there's somebody over there that would like to volunteer, we'd love to have them as a mentor.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Cool.
You know, that's one of
We
the
need to get you
things-
back on after that event to talk about that event
right?
That would be awesome.
No,
and get some of the ladies on and talk about that experience. That would be cool.
that would be, just like we did. We're gonna do with the duck hunters.
Yep.
With the veterans, right?
Exactly.
The veteran ladies.
Yeah.
We can do this with the lady hunters that are going to be hunting in Wisconsin. Can't do anything wrong there in Wisconsin. They got some pretty big bucks there too.
Absolutely.
But again, go to Facebook, check out Raised at Full Draw, or go to their website. Got any questions? She's right there on our screen. She'll answer anything, and get over there and talk to, and help. It's expanding, obviously. We talked about a kids' camps in most of this, and now all of a sudden we got this ladies' camps.
Right.
And there's a lot of ladies out there. They're a little tentative to get into something. Like we had that one that went miles to shoot a bow.
Right.
And so it sounds like this is going to be I hope it's a very successful weekend. That would be awesome. Not gonna lie.
Everybody tags out.
And that would be awesome.
That would be. I know as a woman, and even as a male, I'm sure you guys can see it, but sometimes you want to give up on yourself. You had a bad shot, and you couldn't recover deer, or it just took a long time, and we just want women to know that, and kids in general and adults, don't give up. Everybody makes a bad shot. It's going to happen, and you just have to realize that you continue to practice and get better.
Absolutely.
There is nothing better to me when somebody tells me, "Oh, I never miss."
You haven't shot enough then.
Right? I'm like, okay, we'll take that one offline, buddy, because I don't believe you.
Right.
So, but we're coming up to the last of our segment. We got you two on. We can ask some questions and kind of just lighten up the mood. Obviously, like I said, get over to their Facebook, get over to their website. So, we asked these questions before, but when you're traveling in that diesel truck, right? You got to tell us, what's like your go-to music to listen for all those miles?
Oh man, I do have a lot of music, and I will jam from one station to another station. I do love my music. There's probably mostly country on there, though.
Better question is, who controls the radio?
Oh, you beat me to it.
You know what? Nick actually doesn't go with me. It's
Okay.
just me pulling a 28-foot trailer across country.
Okay.
She controls the radio.
Controls the radio.
Right? The cost of the camp for the women's, I'm assuming, does that include the license fees?
No, but I hear in Wisconsin that if it is your first time hunting, there's like apprentice license, and so it's like I think they said like $35, something like that.
So it's a lot cheaper, even being out of state.
Yes, yep.
Okay. All right. Somebody asked that question. So there you go. If you're going to go and you're an apprentice, you can tell them you're an apprentice. You'll get a cheaper license. You're tooling down the highway. You're jamming to the music you want to listen to. Nick is somewhere back home. What's Nick listening to in his truck?
You're always listening to like rock.
It's usually rock, yeah. Our local rock station.
70s, 80s, 90s, new rock.
New rock generally. I mean, I'll change it up. Like I'll listen to anything really.
Okay.
I mean, big fan of old school hip hop. So like '90s time frame, like alternative grunge. Like that was kind of my music growing up. So anything from that to country to new age stuff.
Wide range. I like it.
Open mind. All right. So you're pulling. It's a 28-foot trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Man. What's your go-to snack as you're driving?
Oh, you know what? I actually have a candy addiction. I love candy.
Who doesn't?
I actually am giving candy up for Lent. So these next 40 days, Nick is saying, help me, because I love candy. So any type of candy, Skittles, making eggs, I'm going to eat candy.
I don't think you understand the candy addiction. It's like 5-pound bags from Amazon that will be gone in a couple of days.
Something tells me a bag that she sits on her work desk does not survive very long.
Any candy anywhere in the house does not survive.
All right, Nick, what's your go-to snack as you're tooling around or whatever you're up to?
Just depends on what time of the year it is. If I'm trying to watch what I'm eating, or if it's kind of a binging type.
A banana. Usually you're going
I
for
try
banana.
to eat pretty healthy, contrary to her. Sometimes she doesn't make it so easy because it's there and it's accessible, which kills me.
All right,
So,
a little fun fact in our chat is John Wayne was born in Winterset.
Yes.
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 Yep.
Is there a museum? Is there a statue?
There is a museum. Yeah, there's a museum in Winterset that you can walk through and take pictures with them. Yeah, it's cool.
Wow.
There you go.
There's
That's
the
my
fun
brother.
fact of
And
the
then
day.
there's a lot of covered bridges in Madison County. And so people will come and see all the different covered bridges too.
Bridges of
Madison County. There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, boy, here we go. Okay, well, Mike and I decided to take a road trip, and we're going to go to Winterset to see John Wayne. But we ended up stopping at your house. What would your guys' go-to meal be for us that you're like, all right, you guys, you are going to
try
have
this.
this?
I am going to cook you deer steaks and french fries. What do you think?
That would be
That would probably one thing.
guaranteed. That's what would be on the menu.
You gonna break it out in the Traeger grill?
Nah, I haven't done anything. I haven't smoked it yet. It's generally just on
Chicken.
the regular grill. Is like not,
Charcoal
not
grill.
gas. Yeah, you gotta get the charcoal.
I
that
use
gives it that
charcoal.
flavor.
Gotcha. Okay. He's a charcoal guy.
Right?
I like
You
it.
gotta like charcoal.
That's
Absolutely.
right. There's dedication to that.
You turkey hunt, correct? Yes?
Yes.
Oh, okay. One thing I found out is if you can smoke the breast of the turkey, oh my god, that is so good.
There you go.
Oh.
Try that.
All right,
You're gonna use
so-
that trigger.
Let's switch up the last question just
You
a
go
little
right
bit
ahead.
because normally we ask you about a story that resonates with you or has a big impact, but there's two big impacts over each of your heads back there. Give us the lowdown in a short couple of minutes here of each one, and whose are they? Because you guys have been battling before the show started about this.
Well, I do have to say that Nick has the bigger deer in the house. However, when we got married, I always said I had the bigger deer in the house. So 10 years ago, I did. There's a buck upstairs. So now downstairs, the only deer you get to see are the big deer, is what
Okay.
we call it, basement. This one over here, he's mine. I shot him 3 years?
2 years.
2 years ago. 2 years ago, and actually right underneath my tree stand at 6 yards. I drew on him 3 different times, and he was following a doe and came in perfectly, but couldn't hold it forever, and it was awesome. I was shaking. Nick actually wasn't too far and heard me grunt to stop him, It was a great hunt. It was very rewarding.
I actually got to watch that buck expire from my stand. So
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, we were about 150 yards apart. I had seen him prior to him going towards her, and I just kind of watched him. And sure enough, I heard the grunt and heard some little bit of crashing, and
Yeah.
then I started receiving texts that didn't make any sense. So I knew she at least had shot at him. And then while I was trying to decipher what those were actually saying. I seen him just kind of off to the side there and watched him actually fully expire. So
That's awesome.
So, okay, so obviously, Denise, you did not see it expire, correct?
I didn't. I
But
knew
you
he
did.
ran, but I didn't
Yeah.
know where he went.
But Nick
Yeah.
did.
Mhm.
All right. So did you tell her right away, or did you kind of go over there and say, I don't know?
no, I told her. I was actually a little bit confused on what was happening because she told me that he had ran the opposite direction of what he actually had. I don't. She apparently got completely direction turned in property that she knows, but like the back of her hand. But anyway, so I was kind of confused. But yeah, I told her, and so I was like, I'll meet you over there. And I got out of the stand. Like, I don't know what was taking her so long, but I was like super excited because this is a buck we knew well. And I'm like standing at the base of my tree. Obviously, I'm not going to go up to the deer until she is there first. It's like taking her forever. So I call her. I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I'm trying to get my boot covers off."
I
She's
was
still in the
shaking.
tree stand.
I was
It's
shaking.
been like 10 minutes and she's still trying to get her boot covers off. I'm like, just who cares about them? Let's go. And so, yeah.
I was shaking so much I couldn't get the zipper undone off of my boots to climb down the tree stand. It was
Oh man.
Was it like cold out, or was it decent weather?
Johnny's cold, yes. Nick cold, no.
Oh, it
but-
was, I mean, it was early November.
Mhm.
Okay, all right,
But it was cold. Yeah.
all right.
What took her so long was the point she was probably trying to get freshened up for the hero
Photo
shots,
ops.
you know?
Oh, I don't even care about that. I don't wear makeup out on the stand, or I don't typically wear makeup, so yeah, I don't care about that stuff. No.
You just don't, like Mark always says, making memories, right?
Yep.
That story is going to live on with you and your family and your kids from now until somebody has another event, and that's just going to add to it. But what about your buck over your shoulder, Nick?
Yeah, so that's a buck I shot in 2017. We had a lot of history with him, a few years of history. We actually found his sheds. Which you can't see, but yeah, a lot of history with him. Had him, he was really photogenic for first couple years, and then he disappeared on us the third year, the year that I actually shot him, until right before season.
Wow.
And then he was around very, very seldom at best. But long story short, shot him at 12 yards on a doe. Didn't make the greatest shot. You would think that at 12 yards it would be a slam dunk shot, but I hit him a little bit farther back than I would have liked. And long story short, we gave him the night and recovered him the next morning.
Wow.
Donnie's was 6 months pregnant, I believe, at that time. So I had her toting along out there with me, and
It was awesome.
That's amazing.
And to find both left and right sheds.
yeah. So that was a pretty neat deal, to have those and compare. I mean, he made from 2016 to 2017 when I shot him. I think he jumped 46 inches in growth.
Oh man, do you have do you have when your cameras are out or you're seeing your deer? Do you have a lot of history with them over time? Are you seeing that, like you're seeing bucks 1, 2, 3, 4? Like what would be the oldest buck that you think you know of, and what age?
Probably 4 years. I think we had 4 consistent years with a buck who was already probably 3.5 when we first seen him, and then we had him the next 4 years in a row, and then he disappeared. Guessing, I didn't hear of anybody shooting him or anything like that. I'm guessing he died of old age, and we actually have the sheds to that one back there. We found the one year. Pretty fortunate for some of the stuff we find, but it was cool. You know, we never got an opportunity to shoot this deer, but it was fine because we found the sheds, and just to have those as a little bit of the history we had with him was pretty cool. And it just, I guess, to further answer your question, it just depends on the year and it depends on the bucks. We'll have some that show up for a couple years and then disappear for a year and then come back, and you're like, oh yeah, that's him. And then we have some that you're like, man, he's going to be great next year, and you never see him again.
Yeah.
That so happens pretty frequently. So
You know, part of hunting, I mean, we call it hunting. I mean, it's all inclusive, but, you know, we talked before the show, you said, you know, you weren't able to take a deer this year. But that doesn't mean that you didn't have fun, you didn't have success. I mean, to me, getting photographs of big bucks like that and watching them over time, finding sheds, you know, watching family members take big deer and be a part of that, or friends, it's all part of that camaraderie of the hunting that we like to share.
Absolutely. And you know what? I think Nick enjoys shed hunting more. He just loves search and find things.
I get pretty amped up for it.
Yeah.
But okay,
You know, it's kind of funny you mention that, because it's almost like it's that warm weather, end of the snow type. You know, you're getting that whiff of spring, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to get out there and walk around the woods and not be impeded by leaves or anything like that. And
Right.
it's like, it's a fun time, right?
yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't matter if it's a dink or, you know, some of these big ones we have. They're all the same to me. When I find one, I'm like, I'm super pumped about it. I love it. I just love it.
Yeah, well, and the dinks, I mean, they grow up to be the big ones. I mean, they don't start out big. You know, they got to start small somewhere at some point.
Yeah, little guys. I mean,
I think this is our first one that we found this year. This one, and he was, again, he's
that was
super
on
excited.
accident. Like, we weren't even looking. We just stumbled across it. I was grabbing cards out of cameras just to kind of see what was still out there yet that was carrying. But
You run your cameras all year?
no, I'll run them up until about now. I'll probably pull them this weekend, and then I don't put them back out till probably early July.
Okay. All right.
I don't know that there's any reason to pull them. It's just something I do so that they're not exposed to the weather all the time
And batteries.
and batteries.
Right, for sure.
We were on long here.
Yeah, I know we did. We got to hear the story. So, but anyways, again, thank you for coming on the show. One more time, tell us, Denise, where we can get a hold of you or donate or wherever you want us to go to find more information about Raised at Full Draw.
Raised at fulldraw.com would be the best place to go.
There you go.
There you go, folks.
So go over,
Thank you
click,
so much.
donate.
Fun.
Well, we appreciate having you on, telling us, you know, about how much you guys are expanding, the places you want to expand and get to, and how that's all going to look. And remember, people, it takes money to be able to do these things, and that's why we got them on tonight, so we can get them in front of you, so you can help them share the outdoors with kids. You know, maybe we don't have the ability to take somebody out with us and hunt and show them the ropes, but they do. So if you've got the means, you know, you can help that and facilitate that.
Yep, exactly.
So that'll do it for us tonight. Next week.
Next week, we are going to have a guest. We're not going to, it's going to be a special guest with a special announcement. So stay tuned.
Oh, you're going to do that to me, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I guess I'll find out.
We
next
got to
week.
have surprises along the line. I just can't tell everybody out there.
There you go. All right. So remember, go over to Raise It Full Draw's website, Facebook page, all their social media. Give them a like, follow, share. Share the show for us if you would, please, and do the same for us. Give us a like, follow, share, and click on all the links there and share them with your friends. So That'll do it for us this week. Next week, we'll be back on again, same time, Wednesday, 7:30. If you're listening to the podcast on iTunes, make sure you give us a review. That helps the people who support us in turn as well. So that'll do it for us this week. We'll see all of y'all again next week, 7:30. Y'all take care.
It's time once again to